Hello everyone and welcome to my Soap Twist 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Steffy Forrester stood in the doorway of the Forrester Mansion's grand living room, the envelope quivering in her grip like a leaf caught in a storm. The paper was crisp and official, bearing the seal of the private lab she had paid a fortune to expedite. Wedding preparations whirled around her in a flurry of white roses and champagne flukes. Liam Spencer, dressed in a fitted tuxedo that made him appear like the prince she had thought he was, laughed with his groomsmen beside the fireplace. Hope Logan, soon to be Hope Spencer again, whirled her gown, the lace train gathering around her feet like spilled milk. The room smelled of gardenias and expectation, but Steffy sensed betrayal. She had come here to disrupt a wedding, armed with information that would shatter more than vows. The DNA test results in the envelope were more than just numbers and percentages. They were the last nail in the coffin of every lie Liam had ever told her. Kelly, their daughter, or so she believed, was not his. The kid she had borne, nourished, and loved with a fierceness that terrified her at times belonged to another man. Bill Spencer. Liam has his own father. Steffy's knees buckled. She grabbed the edge of a console table, the vase of lilies swaying but not collapsing. Nobody noticed. Not yet. The string quartet in the corner played delicate, romantic music, the sounds swirling about her like fog. She could still turn back. She could put the envelope in her handbag, grin during the ceremony, and let Liam marry Hope. Allow them to establish their ideal little family on the foundation of her silence. But the image of Kelly, her bright-eyed kid with the crooked smile, growing up in a house full of lies made bile rise in Steffy's throat. She stepped forward. 1 step. 2. The hem of her emerald dress brushed against the marble floor, a deliberate choice. She would not wear white to the farce. Heads turned. Brooke Logan's smile wavered. Ridge Forrester furrowed his brow. Liam's gaze met hers across the room, and for a minute, the old flame rekindled. The one who once made her believe in eternity. Then he spotted the envelope. His face had lost its color. "Steffy," he whispered, his voice breaking like thin ice. "What are you doing here?" The room became quiet. Even the foursome stumbled, with the violinist's bow floating in the air. Hope's palm flew to her throat, the diamond on her finger reflecting the light as a warning. "I'm here to give you a wedding gift," Steffy announced. Her voice did not tremble. It should have, but did not. "Something you both deserve to know before you say, I do." She crossed the room slowly and deliberately. Each one felt like they were walking through water. When she approached Liam, she held out the envelope. He did not take it. His hands remained by his sides, fingers curled into fists. "Open it," she said. Hope stepped forward, her voice soft. "Steffy, please. Whatever this is, it can wait." "No," Steffy interrupted. "It cannot." "Not anymore," Liam said, eventually closing his fingers over the envelope. He ripped it open with the desperation of a guy removing a bandage. The papers came out on 3 pages, clinical and chilly. His eyes examined the words. Steffy saw his pupils enlarge and the muscles in his jaw twitch. When he looked up, the boy she had adored was gone. In his place, a man was unraveling. "This says..." His voice broke. "This suggests Kelly is Bill's?" The word hung in the air, like a guillotine. Gasps echoed around the room. Brooke grabbed Ridge's arm. Thomas Forrester's glass dropped from his grasp and shattered on the floor. Hope's expression contorted, not from astonishment, but from something deeper. Recognition. She had known. Perhaps it's the shape of the lie, rather than the details. Steffy turned to face her. "You knew, right? Regarding the night Bill and I had after the accident. You knew Liam was lying about where he was and what he saw." Hope's silence was sufficient response. Liam staggered back, knocking into a chair. "Steffy, I can explain." "There's nothing to explain," the woman replied. "You saw us. You spotted Bill and me together that night, but instead of confronting the situation, you let it fester. You led me to assume Kelly was yours. You allowed her to call you daddy. Every bedtime story, every skinned knee, every I love you, You accepted it all, knowing it was all a lie. Hot tears flowed down her face. She did not wipe them away. Let them see. Let them all realize how much their secrets had cost. I loved you, she whispered. I loved you so much that I convinced myself that my doubts were just paranoia. Postpartum stress. However, they weren't. Liam, you played me for a fool. You made me question my own sanity while playing home with Hope, despite the fact that our daughter was not even yours. Hope found her words. Steffy, I did not know about the DNA test. I swore. I believed Kelly was Liam's. We both did. But you were aware of the affair, Steffy explained. You knew Bill and I had slept together. And you are still allowing this wedding to proceed. You still let Liam stand up there and promise forever, knowing he was living a double life. Ridge took a step closer, his voice calm but firm. Steffy, dear, let's take this somewhere private. No, she said, shaking her head. This concludes here. In front of everybody. No more hiding, she said, turning back to face Liam. Do you recall the night Kelly was born? You hugged her and cried. You claimed she was perfect. Our miracle. But she was not ours, was she? She was Bill's. You were already aware of this. Perhaps not then, but later. You knew, and you said nothing. Liam's knees buckled. He dropped to the floor, paper strewn about him like fallen leaves. I was scared, he said. I did not want to lose you. Or Kelly. I thought if I just loved her enough, it wouldn't matter, Steffy said with a sad laugh. It matters. It matters to her. She deserves to know who her father is. She deserves better than a man who lies to her every day. She knelt in front of him, near enough to see Kelly's inherited gold flecks in his eyes. Not from Liam. From Bill. You don't get to keep her, she stated softly. Not anymore. Hope's voice was barely audible. What does this mean? Steffy stood. It indicates the wedding is cancelled. It means Liam won't get to play happy families with either of us. It means Kelly comes home with me, and Bill will be a part of her life whether we like it or not. She gave Hope a long look. The woman who had been her competitor, friend, and nemesis. Hope, you deserve better too. Better than a father who lied to his child's mother. Better than a life of secrets. Hope's tears dropped softly. She did not argue. I didn't defend. Just stood there, the veil sliding from her hair as if in defeat. Steffy turned to go. The throng parted for her, a sea of stunned expressions and muttered sympathies. She did not glance back. Not at Liam on the ground. Not at Hope's broken hopes. Not at the life she had nearly recaptured. Outside, the sun was setting over Los Angeles, creating a blood-red and gold sky. Steffy's driver waited near the curb, but she waved him away. She needed to walk. She needed to feel the ground beneath her feet, firm and genuine. Her phone vibrated. Bill texted, I'm at the house. With Kelly. She is asking for you. Steffy's fingers hovered above the screen. She typed, tell her mommy is coming home. She slid the phone into her pocket and continued walking. The envelope was gone, its contents etched in her memory. The truth was revealed, raw, ugly, and liberating. Liam's wedding was ruined, certainly. But so was the illusion she'd been living under for years. Kelly remained at home, ignorant to the storm that had just broken. Steffy's pace accelerated. Her daughter needs her. Not a perfect mommy. Not the Forrester heiress. It's just her. The lady who would fight, lie, and sacrifice her life for her. As she traveled, the city lights flickered on, each one representing a promise. A new beginning. A harsher truth. But hers. Weeks later, Steffy sat in the backyard of Bill's mansion, her new world, which was transitory but necessary. Kelly chased bubbles across the grass, her laughter clear and pure. Bill stared from the patio, his customary swagger tempered by something Steffy couldn't identify. Regret, perhaps. Or you may hope. She's happy, he added, without looking at Steffy. She's resilient, Steffy explained. Kids are. Bill nodded. I never wanted this, you understand. To damage you. To take her from Liam. You didn't take her, Steffy replied. He gave her up the moment he chose silence over truth. They sat in stillness, which had before been punctuated by screaming and accusations. Now it was just there, a place to breathe. Kelly ran over, her cheeks heated. "Mommy, look. I caught one." Steffi opened her hand, allowing the bubble to pop against her palm. "Magic," she replied, smiling. Kelly smiled and took off again. Bill cleared his throat. "Liam has been phoning. Want to see her?" Steffi's jaw stiffened. He can see her. Supervised. But he can't pretend longer. No more father-daughter dances. No more lies, Bill said, nodding. "Fair." She gazed at him intently. The man who had previously been her enemy, lover, and mistake. Now he was Kelly's father. A reality that still twisted her stomach, but which she couldn't deny. "I hate you," she replied softly. "I know," he responded, "but I don't detest her. And I refuse to let my hatred infect her." Bill's eyes softened. "You're a good mom, Steffi." "Don't," she warned. "Don't try to fix this with compliments." He raised his hands. Kelly shouted for them both, waving a dandelion. "Just stating a fact." Steffi stood, wiping grass off her jeans. She accepted Bill's offer of a hand, not for romance, but for balance. For Kelly. They headed toward their daughter together, two people united by a kid and a truth neither had asked for. The sun dropped lower, throwing long shadows across the lawn. Steffi's heart ached, but it beat steadily and strongly. This was her life now. Messy. Real. Hers. Liam waited outside Bill's home, clutching a toy unicorn that Kelly had left in his flat. The guard would not let him in. He did not blame him. He'd lost everything. Hope had put the ring on the kitchen counter with a letter that read, "I can't build a future on your past." Kelly was with his father. Steffi had the truth. He was only concerned with the consequences of his decisions. He clutched the unicorn against his chest, the plastic fur moist with tears. "I'm sorry," he said quietly to the empty air. "I'm so sorry." But apologies were just words. Words could not undo years of deceit. Steffi looked from the window as Liam's car drove away. Kelly slipped upstairs, breathing softly and evenly. Bill stood behind her, near enough to feel his warmth without touching. "He'll try again," Bill explained. "Let him," Steffi said. "But he'll never get back what he threw away." She turned away from the window, the unicorn's absence a minor triumph. The night was silent, as after a storm. Steffi breathed it in, allowing it to fill the gaps in her heart. Tomorrow would bring fresh fights. Hearings regarding custody. Tabloid headlines. The inevitable outcome. But tonight she had her kid. She had the truth. For the first time in years, she had herself. She climbed the stairs to Kelly's room and slipped beneath the covers next to her. Kelly stirred, sliding into her mother's embrace. "Mommy?" she whispered, half sleeping. "I'm here, baby," Steffi said quietly. "Always." Kelly's little hand touched hers, fingers intertwined. Steffi closed her eyes, the weight of the day sinking into her bones. However, it was a good weight. A real one. Outside, the stars blinked into existence, uncaring to the devastation below. Steffi did not look. She did not need to. Her world was present in this room, in this moment. The wedding was wrecked. The lies are exposed. The truth, as horrible as it was, is finally free. In the silence, Steffi Forrester discovered something she hadn't realized she was missing. Peace. Steffi arrived later than planned, her entrance modest yet forceful. Every conversation ceased as she stepped through the doorway. Ridge, too, froze in mid-sentence, his gaze shifting to his daughter as if he saw a storm approaching. She looked lovely as always, but her mood was not jubilant. There was sadness in her eyes, a weight that couldn't be masked by her composure. Hope stood near the altar, gorgeous in her gown, her grin brilliant and apprehensive. Liam, dressed in a smart suit, looked at her with the same warmth that had endeared followers to their love story for years. But as his gaze unexpectedly met Steffi's across the room, time seemed to stop. There it was again, The unsaid connection, the tangled bond that neither of them had ever truly broken. Steffi paused for a second before moving deeper into the room. Each step echoed. She wasn't simply another guest at the wedding. She was history itself, carrying the spirits of every broken promise and second opportunity that never came true. Taylor, her mother, looked at her with concern, noting the tightness in her jaw and the paper in her palm. "Steffi," Ridge said softly, stepping closer. "Are you certain you're okay being here?" She forced a slight smile. "I would not miss it." "Liam deserves to be happy," she murmured, but her voice shook. She wasn't sure if she believed the words. Because deep inside, Steffi had discovered something so profound that it had the potential to change everything for Liam, Hope, and most importantly, Tiny Kelly. The ceremony started. Brooke blotted her eyes as the music grew louder, proud of her daughter, while Bill Spencer stood in the rear, arms folded, gaze furrowed with mistrust. He had always known when drama was brewing, and this felt like the quiet before a hurricane. The officiant began to speak, and for a few minutes, everything appeared calm. Liam and Hope shared gentle smiles, their hands clasped, and promises flowed freely. Then, as the officiant asked if anyone had a reason why the two should not marry, Steffi stood up. A collective gasp echoed throughout the crowd. Hope froze, her fingers clamping around Liam's hand. Ridge's heart plummeted, and Taylor uttered her daughter's name in a low terror. "I'm sorry," Steffi said, her voice steady but full of emotion. "But there's something you both need to hear before you say I do." Brooke grimaced and rose slightly. "Steffi, this isn't the time." "No, Mom," Hope said gently. "If Steffi has something to say, let her say it." Everyone in the room looked at Steffi. She went forward, her heels clicking on the marble floor until she was only a few steps away from the couple. "I didn't come here to cause you pain," she explained calmly. "I came because I can't stay silent any longer. For months, I've lived with unanswered questions about my daughter, what occurred years ago, and the truth about Kelly's paternity." Liam's breath caught. "Steffi, we completed the test years ago. We know I am Kelly's father." "That is what we assumed," Steffi said, her voice cracking. "But the test was tampered with. I discovered out last week." The room broke out in murmurs. Brooke was stunned, Hope's face became pale, and Bill's eyes sharpened with inquiry. "What do you mean by tampered with?" Liam inquired, edging closer, his heart hammering. "I mean, someone changed the results," Steffi explained, removing a folded sheet from her purse. "They wanted you to believe Kelly was yours. But she isn't, Liam." The words landed like a thunderclap. The music stopped. Even the air seemed to be still. Hope's hand dropped from Liam's. "What are you saying?" Steffi swallowed hard. "I redid the DNA test, this time in private, with a doctor I trust. The reality is, you are not Kelly's biological father. It's Bill Spencer." There are gasps, yells, and bewilderment. Ridge stepped forward quickly, wrath flashing in his eyes. Bill stood stopped, stunned, while Liam's face had lost all color. "No," Liam said quietly, shaking his head. "No, that cannot be correct. We were together then, but Bill, Steffi nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I did not want to believe it either. But it is true. I confronted the lab, and they confirmed that the original results were switched. I believe Bill paid someone off to ensure that the first test identified you as the father." Bill took a step forward, his voice low but deadly. "You are making a severe accusation, Steffi. Be cautious." "I'm not accusing," she insisted. "I am stating the truth. I've spent years watching Kelly grow up thinking you were her father, Liam. And I've seen you adore her with everything you have. But she deserves the truth. You both do." Hope's eyes welled up with emotions as she stared at Liam. "Is this true?" Liam appeared broken. I do not know. I've never questioned it. I believe the results. I trusted you, Steffi." Steffi's voice broke. "I trusted them, too. The truth, however, does not change the love you have for her. You are still her father in every manner that matters. But I couldn't let you marry Hope when we were still keeping this secret. You deserve honesty." The room fell silent again, the weight of Steffy's confession hanging in the air. Ridge looked at Bill, disgusted. You twisted my daughter, and now you have ruined another family. How do you sleep at night? Bill's jaw stiffened. I'm not denying my mistakes, Ridge. But I did not do this. I did not pay anyone off. If Kelly is my grandchild, I'll step up, but don't ever throw this on me without proof. Steffy lifted the document again. It is all here. DNA testing from 2 labs. Both confirm the same result. Kelly is your daughter. Hope looked aside, tears flowing down her cheeks. The visitors began whispering again, some reaching for their phones, while others were too astonished to move. The wedding was officially ended. No vows, no rings, just grief. Liam's voice was hoarse when he did speak. I don't know what to say. I've based my entire life around becoming Kelly's father. Every decision I have made. Every sacrifice. This was for her. And now I find out. He paused, his throat tight. I don't even know who I am right now. Steffy took a step closer, attempting to keep her voice steady. You are still the man who reared her. That does not alter due to DNA. She loves you. Hope gazed at Steffy, her anguish transformed into calm anger. Why today, Steffy? Why here? You could have told him before the wedding. Steffy's lips quivered. Because I wasn't aware till last night. I wanted to wait, but when I saw you standing there, about to promise each other forever while part of your life was based on a lie, I couldn't hold it in. I couldn't watch another wedding fall apart due to secrets, Hope said, shaking her head. You didn't just disrupt a wedding, Steffy. You shattered everything. The tension became excruciating. Liam went away from the altar, hands in his hair, pacing like a lost man at sea. He murmured, I need air, and pushed past the guests. Steffy attempted to follow, but Ridge gently grabbed her arm. Let him go, he murmured quietly. He needs time. Bill followed Liam outside, calling after him, but Liam turned abruptly. Don't, Bill. Not one word. If this is correct, you have destroyed my life. You've destroyed Kelly's. The consequences reverberated within like shockwaves. Hope stood alone with her veil trembling in her hands. Brooke attempted to console her, but she backed away, her emotions too raw. Taylor walked to Steffy and wrapped her arms around her, but even her embrace couldn't erase the shame that was written all over her face. Hours later, the guests had left. The decorations remained intact, a sad reminder of what was intended to be a festive occasion. Steffy was alone in the empty Forrester living room, with the DNA documents on the coffee table in front of her. Her eyes were crimson, and her hands trembled. She thought about Kelly upstairs, deep asleep and unaware of the turmoil below. She remembered Liam's expression when he learned the truth: disbelief, pain, betrayal. She softly told herself, I did the right thing. I have to, but the words did not provide consolation. When Liam returned later that night, he appeared fatigued and his eyes lifeless. I want to see Kelly, he explained quietly. She smiled as she slept. She called me Daddy in her dream. He hesitated, his voice quivering. What should I do now, Steffy? How can I look at her and pretend that this doesn't affect everything? Steffy wiped away tears. You do not pretend. You still love her the way you always have. She's still your daughter in every way that matters. He nodded faintly and sank into the couch alongside her. For a long time, they sat quietly, the weight of their common history crushing down like an anchor. I don't know what this means for me and Hope, Liam finally stated. She deserves honesty, too. But I don't believe I can face her right now. Then don't, Steffy said quietly. Not until you are ready. Make time for Kelly. For yourself. As he gazed at her, his countenance softened. You always find a way to tell the truth, even when it hurts.